I'm going to show you how to make green chili with crispy corn tortilla strips. And the main ingredient in this recipe are tomatillas. Tomatillas are green tomatoes, often called Mexican green tomatoes. They have this husk on them. And you can buy these in the grocery store in cans, and they're perfectly fine to use in the chili, but if you can get fresh ones, the fresh ones are really great. They have a wonderful flavor of lemon and herbs, and they just have a very unusual flavor. They're a little tart, but a little sweet at the same time. You want to remove the husk before you cook them. And the way we're going to cook them before we put them in the chili is we're going to put them under the broiler for just a few minutes until they blister. You want to remove all the husks from the tomatillas. Once all the husks have been removed from the tomatillas, they can go right in the oven. You want to put them on a baking sheet with sides and put them under the broiler until they just start to blister. That way the skins will come off nice and easily. While the tomatillas are in the oven cooking, you can start the chili by sauteing 2 yellow onions that have been chopped in about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And you want to cook these for about 10 minutes until they're nice and wilted and they're just starting to get a little bit of color on them. After they've cooked, you can add 1 green bell pepper that's been cord seeded and chopped, and 2 stalks of celery. And you want it to continue to cook the onions, peppers, and celery for about another 4 to 5 minutes. You want to add the jalapenos and continue to cook. And add the garlic and cook for about 2 minutes more, just until the garlic is slightly cooked. Ground cumin, about a tablespoon of ground cumin. And about 2 teaspoons of dried marjoram. And just stir and let that cook. Once the tomatillas come out of the oven, you can see they're nice and soft, and they turn kind of this pale green. You can put them in a bowl, and we're going to mash them. Now you could do this in a food processor or a blender. You could puree them, but they mash really easily, so it's very simple to just do it in a bowl with a potato masher. And you can see all that wonderful liquid they're releasing. And this is going to go right into the bowl of chili. Once the garlic is sauteed, you want to add your mashed tomatillas. They can go right into the dish. Your shredded chicken. It's about 4 cups of shredded chicken. About 6 cups of chicken broth. And then you want to add your green or roasted red chilies. I'm using roasted red today. If you wanted to make this all green though, you could use green chilies. A couple of bay leaves. I love this herb mix that they sell in the grocery store now that's a soup herb mix. It has fresh bay leaves in it, thyme, parsley, oregano, marjoram. So we're going to add a couple of bay leaves, a can of navy beans that have been rinsed and drained, a can of chickpeas that have been rinsed and drained, and we're going to season it with salt and pepper. Probably about a tablespoon of sea salt and a couple of teaspoons of freshly ground black pepper. But that's really up to your taste. And then you're going to bring this to a low boil and reduce the heat and let it simmer for about an hour. You can see what beautiful color it has already. There's a section in our book called soup toppers, and we suggest different things that you can put on top of soup. One of my favorite things to put on chili are crispy corn tortilla strips. I use corn tortillas, and you can cut them in wedges if you like, but I like to cut them in slices about 2 inches long and spread them out on a baking sheet. I have 4 corn tortillas here. You can also use flour tortillas, but I really like the flavor of the corn. It goes so well with the chili. And we're just going to brush these lightly with a little bit of olive oil and sprinkle them with sea salt. Now you could deep fry these in just a little bit of olive oil in a saute pan on top of your stove. It's a much quicker way to do it, but I like to oven bake them. They get nice and crispy, and you don't use as much oil as you would if you're frying them. So just brush them lightly. I only brush them on one side. That gives them enough crispness. And you can season these with a lot of different things. Sometimes I put chili pepper or chili powder on them. I put ground cumin on them. They're really good. If you like them spicy, you can put a little bit of ground cayenne, but I'm just doing these with sea salt. And they're going to go in a 400-degree oven for about 10 minutes. I love to serve this green chili in these large Fiesta-ware soup plates. Such a wonderful color. You can see the tortilla strips are nice and crispy, and usually I just put 5 or 6 on top of the soup. Once they sit in the soup, they will tend to get soft and become more like a dumpling, and they're really flavorful in the soup. And I just serve the soup as it is with a slice of a fresh lime on the side that you can squeeze into the soup. It gives the soup just a really nice, wonderful, fresh flavor.